Hey guys, in today's video I will be getting the Platinum Trophy for Star Wars Republic Commando. This is a game I've tried playing for a few years now and haven't really seemed to get into until now. My dad had it back when it first released on the original Xbox, and 5-year-old me simply found the game way too difficult. Fast forward to me playing this game at 22 years old, and that's still the case, but I had a lot of fun with this game. The times when I tried to play this were on my PC, and it was just not well optimized for the hardware I was running it on. This is when I realized that Aspyr did a remaster about 2 years ago. With the Ahsoka series about halfway done at the time of me recording this, I figured it would be a perfect time to platinum an older Star Wars game that I haven't played before. Republic Commando's trophy list comes with a relatively low difficulty that would take around 15 hours, making this the perfect game to continue trying out these new videos with. For those who have not played this game in a while or are unfamiliar with it, Republic Commando puts you in the armor of Delta 3-8, the boss of Delta Squad. You, along with your other squad mates, Fixer, Sev, and Scorch, are sent on 3 different campaigns that take us to Geonosis, a Republic cruiser, and Kashyyyk. As the boss, you give your squad different commands like setting charges, slicing terminals, sniping from a certain spot, and working together to overcome a tough opponent. With a decent arsenal of weapons and the vast array of commands you can give to your squad, I truly felt like we were a well-coordinated crew and a dominant force on the battlefield. The premise here is really solid and helped to set this game apart from other Star Wars games that came out around the same time. It honestly makes a lot of sense why fans have been asking for a sequel for almost 20 years. As far as getting the Platinum Trophy goes, obtaining it only requires 1 playthrough on the hardest difficulty, but because this was my first time experiencing this game all the way through, I ended up doing 2 playthroughs. I played it for the first time on the normal difficulty to experience this game without getting too frustrated because I still found the game quite difficult on the normal setting. Our journey begins during the Battle of Geonosis with the first task seeing us rendezvous with the rest of our squad. Making my way through the many ongoing firefights, I unlocked my first trophy when I met up with Scorch.
Ready to go, sir.
The next trophy came shortly after when we ran into Fixer. Having him slice into a security shield gives us trophy number 2.
I've accessed the network.
Security shield disabled, we're in.
Rounding out the squad is Sev, who snipes down a Geonosian named Sun Fac. As we make our way through the catacombs of Geonosis, this is where the game's difficulty hit me smack dab in the face. Republic Commando features some tough enemies, with super battle droids bringing back some PTSD from when I played this game as a kid. However, after utilizing some strategy, these guys were not as intimidating as they once seemed. They're still tough, but honestly they aren't as bad as the Geonosians. They go down easy, but if they get too close, their staffs are deadly, knocking me down in about 2 hits. Whenever I get incapacitated, the squad is instructed to wait until the area is clear until they can revive me, which makes sense in a real world setting, but I'm ready to jump back into the action, so more times than not, I had them come and revive me, which got me another trophy the first time I did this.
Bucked out.
Eat 8 now.
Continuing through, there are these orange looking barrels that serve as explosives. To save some grenades, I would simply shoot at them to hopefully clear any enemies that were near. Shooting 10 of these got me this trophy. Throughout this video, you may have noticed the visor get wiped down at some point. Whenever enemies are killed up close or you do a melee attack, there's a chance some of their blood gets splattered onto your visor. To keep your vision from being obscured, it'll get wiped shortly after. Once this is done 10 times, it gets us this. Continuing further into the catacombs lies one of the game's more challenging enemies. These Geonosian elites have a weapon that shoots a laser beam that completely shreds through our shields and health. It almost got me at one point, but ended up taking out a couple of my squad mates. As I went in for the revive, I got another trophy. Making our way through a droid production facility and back onto the surface, I unlocked a few more trophies that either came naturally or had some kind of miscellaneous requirement. There's one for knocking off a droid's head with a melee attack, blowing up 10 demolition charges, issuing and canceling a command too quickly,
We got some turret Commandos.
and eliminating 10 enemies with a gunship turret. Back on the surface, the different types of enemies made things a bit overwhelming, causing me to get frustrated a couple of times early on. This frustration, funnily enough, led me to unlocking another trophy after I mistakenly blew myself up with a grenade.
Concentrate now.
Before moving on to carry out the last objective, I was able to find all the different weapon attachments. What does this mean? It essentially gives your DC-17 different components to transform it into different weapons. The first one I found was a sniper mod, and then an anti-armor attachment, unlocking this.
This should come in handy against all these droids.
That anti-armor attachment was put to good use against a tough but rare enemy, the spider droid. Its weak spot, like many video game bosses, is this giant red glowing spot. Hitting it a few times with some explosives and finishing it off with some blaster fire gave us this trophy.
Thanks, sir. You got it. Give me another.
As we wrap up things on Geonosis, 2 trophies tie in specifically with this level, and there were a couple of miscellaneous ones that I unlocked along the way. Throughout this core ship are these droid dispensers that drop an infinite supply of battle droids. While I was having trouble dropping one on a group of enemies, I kept reloading my save to this point where there was a good amount of battle droids around me. I threw a thermal detonator at a group of 5, giving me this. After some patience, I was able to drop a droid dispenser on 4 enemies. Like I mentioned before, these droid dispensers drop an infinite supply of droids, so I found it to be a good opportunity to melee 100 enemies just so I can go on ahead and get it out the way. And to round things out, my squad made it through a tough fight out of the core ship, giving us a trophy for completing the Geonosis campaign. With the bulk of the trophies out of the way, I called it a day and waited to tackle the next campaign later. While day 2 was a bit slow in terms of trophies, I was happy with the progress I was making with the story itself. I've only ever experienced the early hours of Geonosis in the many times I tried to play this game, so I looked forward to experiencing parts of the game I hadn't played before. The Republic Cruiser is home to some new enemy types like Trandoshans and these scavenger droids. These little droids like to attach to your helmet at times, so defeating one this way gives us a trophy.
Keep your eyes out for static.
Most of this campaign revolves around rescuing your squad mates after we all split up. As I was looking for them, I was met with a path that was split in 2 ways. I could either blow up some debris or crawl through a vent. I really didn't feel like waiting 10 seconds to blow up some debris, so I went through a vent, and my curiosity got the best of me when I found this lightsaber.
An elegant weapon for a more civilized time, huh?
Once everyone reunited, we continued our fight to the bridge. Now, the next trophy I unlocked came as a surprise because I was very confused about how to get it originally. I have to issue all squad commands at least once. At first, I thought this meant telling each commando to get back to man a turret or throw grenades at least once. I even got myself killed at one point trying to get all my squad to heal at the same time.
Lost Delta 3.
Yeah, I honestly don't know what I was thinking at this point. It wasn't until I held down X when all these commands popped up. I rarely used them up to this point, but when I canceled Fixer's sniping maneuver, I nabbed a trophy.
Let's move on.
And I definitely made sure to utilize this mechanic moving forward. I mentioned weapons before in the video, and while your DC-17 is going to be your primary weapon throughout the game, some enemies drop weapons that can also be picked up. Geonosian elites drop their beam rifles, but Trandoshans have a decent number of weapons to grab. Their shotguns and SMGs will come in abundance, but a heavy machine gun and concussion rifle aren't as common. Of course, I wanted to try out every weapon in the game, and after I grabbed the concussion rifle, the trophy was mine. As this campaign comes to a close, we have to defend multiple hangars from oncoming droid invasions. It's overwhelming dealing with dozens of enemies at once, especially those blasted super battle droids, but one of the hangars has an ATTE, making quick work of all the droids and their dispensers in the hangar, and only 1 kill was needed for a trophy. And once the ship was back in Republic control, a trophy popped for completing the RAS campaign. And that was a wrap on day 2. Day 3 took me to Kashyyyk, and this was by far the toughest section in the entire game. It throws everything at you, and it's challenging trying to manage your squad while dealing with the onslaught of the game's toughest enemies. There's one section in particular that was an absolute nightmare where we had to blow up a bridge. Sounds easy until you have 2 dispensers that deploy super battle droids along with a turret that can make quick work of the squad. I got super frustrated, so I took a break to go to the movies and calm myself down. For those that are curious, I went to see the new Gran Turismo movie and I highly recommend it. Coming back to the game later that evening, it was still a frustrating endeavor, but after some perseverance, we were able to destroy the separatist forces occupying Kashyyyk and return home, even though we had to leave Sev behind. This unlocked 3 trophies, one for completing the Kashyyyk campaign, and for completing the game on both easy and normal difficulties.
Republic forces, establish forward command rendezvous with Delta Squad. We must.
With one playthrough complete, I had to play through this game one more time on hard while getting any trophies I missed the first time around. There isn't much to talk about with the hard playthrough except it's hard. It's not too bad when all you're fighting are droids, but fighting Trandoshans who can one-shot you, and the hellscape that is Kashyyyk, this made the final hours of this platinum journey extremely frustrating. On the bright side, I did take care of the trophies I missed early on during this playthrough. There's a couple trophies that are mission specific. The first is in the catacombs on Geonosis. There are these eggs spread around with these baby Geonosians inside that are super creepy. One of the trophies required destroying these eggs before they hatch. Setting my squad to the side, I carefully made my way around the map shooting all the eggs I can find to unlock the trophy.
A shield to the jungle.
The other mission specific trophy I missed was on the Republic cruiser. In one of the hangars is a speeder bike and I simply had to walk up to it.
That speeder still works.
It did help take out one of the dispensers, which was incredibly helpful. The final random thing I had to do was go down 10 times in a single mission. While this honestly would have been attainable during the later missions, I wanted to get this trophy out of the way as soon as I could, so I lobbed 10 grenades at myself which instantly downed me, and after a couple of minutes, I was able to get a trophy.
Lead us down. Repeat.
All that was left for me to do was finish up my hard playthrough, and after a couple days, I got the trophy for completing the game on hard.
Is that really who I think it is?
Rendezvous.
Followed by the platinum.
We rest Macho.
Another fine addition to my collection.
A sacrifice.
Sorry, Deltas. Looks like it's back to the action. You have your orders.
Delta Squad, lock and load.
With this being my first time playing Republic Commando, I thought I would give my quick thoughts on the game as a whole. For the most part, the game itself is enjoyable. The story isn't anything to write home about, but offers a reasonable excuse to go from level to level fighting droids, Geonosians, and Trandoshans. While the squad mechanics aren't anything new, they are serviceable for a game like this and become absolutely vital when playing the game on the hardest difficulty. Although the third act drags out a bit too long for me, and some aspects of the game show the time in which they were made, it is a refreshing take on the Star Wars franchise that I would love to see fleshed out more if someone ever decides to make a sequel. As for the trophy list, I felt it was appropriate for a game like this. It was pretty straightforward, with the only challenge coming from playing the game on the hardest difficulty, which should be to no one's surprise. I felt that there was a good balance of trophies related to the story, getting a certain amount of kills, and many of the miscellaneous ones like finding a certain item during a level. Other than those details, I enjoyed my time getting this platinum and look forward to getting more in some of the older Star Wars games. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. What's your experience with Republic Commando? Did you ever get the platinum trophy? I'd really like to know what you guys have to say. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure to like and subscribe to the channel if you have not already. May the Force be with you.